The U.S. housing market is, well, it's completely paralyzed right now.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody is buying. Nobody is selling.
Yeah, it's basically a giant staring contest.
Exactly. Everyone is just staring at each other.
Yeah.
So how did one single real estate company manage to, accidentally make $708 million in 3 short months?
It's a great question, and it's a huge number.
Right. So today we're doing a deep dive into a really fascinating source document. It's Zillow's Q1 shareholder letter. And if you read between the lines, this is not just some dry financial report.
Far from it, actually.
Yeah, it's basically a blueprint. It shows how this massive tech company is quietly building the underlying operating system for the entire housing market, even while the actual buying and selling of homes remains totally stagnant. So, okay, let's unpack this.
We really need to start by looking at the sheer scale of the contradiction here. Because, as you mentioned, the broader real estate market in the U.S. has essentially been flat.
Flatlined.
Exactly. It's a standoff. Buyers are, they're waiting for lower interest rates, and sellers are just clutching onto those 3% mortgages they locked in a few years ago.
I mean, who can blame them? Nobody wants to blink first.
Nobody wants to blink. But then you look at Zillow, they just reported this staggering $708 million in revenue for the first quarter.
Wow.
Yeah, that is an 18% increase year over year. So they didn't just survive a flat market, they outperformed it by a massive margin.
Right, and the numbers actually get even wilder the deeper you look.
Mm-hmm.
Because alongside that $708 million in revenue, they completely crushed their own financial outlook.
They really did.
They reported $46 million in net income and $182 million in adjusted EBITDA, which, just to translate that into plain English for anyone listening, means they're generating massive actual cash profit from their core operations.
Yeah, this isn't just looking good on paper with accounting tricks.
Exactly. The cash flow is what really made me do a double take, because their operating cash flow nearly doubled. It was up 92% to $200 million.
That's just, it's insane in this economy.
Right. And their adjusted free cash flow jumped 44% to $127 million.
Yeah, those are definitely not the metrics of a company that's merely waiting for the market to thaw out. That is a company actively generating huge amounts of capital.
For sure.
And so the question for you, if you're listening to this, is how exactly are they making all this money if house sales are basically flat?
That is the million, or I guess $700 million question.
Right. And the answer lies in a fundamental shift in their strategy. Zillow is no longer content to just be a search engine, where you go to look at pretty houses you can't afford on a Friday night.
We've all been there.
Oh, absolutely. But they are transitioning into a complete end-to-end ecosystem now. They want to connect the entire housing journey into one integrated experience for renters, buyers, sellers, and crucially, the real estate professionals who actually serve them.
It's almost like everyone is staring at the frozen user interface of the housing market, complaining that nothing is moving. And meanwhile, Zillow is just quietly down in the basement rewriting the entire back-end code.
That's a really good way to put it.
Because you see this most clearly in the wildest stat from the financial section. Their mortgages revenue grew by an incredible 56%.
56% in this market.
Yeah. And their purchase loan origination volume skyrocketed 96% to hit $1.5 billion.
Let's just pause on that for a second. A 96% increase in loan originations when people are supposedly not buying houses. Think about the mechanics of how that actually happens.
Okay, walk us through it.
Well, by capturing the consumer earlier in the search process when they are just casually scrolling on their couch, Zillow is successfully funneling those exact same consumers directly into their own financing arm, which is Zillow Home Loans.
Okay, I understand the strategy, but I really have to push back here.
Sure.
Look, if I'm buying like a pair of noise-canceling headphones on Amazon, sure, a tech platform can optimize that funnel. But buying a house...
Yeah, it's different.
It is arguably the most complex, high-stakes, highly regulated, deeply personal transaction a person makes in their entire life.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just slap a basic algorithm on a home hunt. I mean, can you really automate something with that much friction?
That is the exact right question to ask. And the reality is, standard technology cannot do it. But Zillow believes they can handle that incredible complexity using artificial intelligence.
Okay. AI, the buzzword of the year.
Right. But we need to be very clear here. They're not just plugging in a generic LLM like some off-the-shelf ChatGPT. If you ask a generic AI to find you a house, it only understands text.
It just reads the listing description.
Exactly. It doesn't know what an open concept kitchen actually looks like in relation to a load-bearing wall. What's fascinating here is that Zillow is building their AI on a 20-year foundation of highly specific proprietary data.
Because it's not just about square footage and a few blurry photos from 2012 anymore, right? We're talking about really rich visual structural data.
Right. Over 10% of all new listings on Zillow now include rich media, things like their Zillow 3D home tours, interactive floor plans, virtual staging, and this new thing they call Sky Tour.
Oh, wow. 10% is a lot of data.
It is, and that data feeds directly into their AI, giving it a spatial understanding of American real estate. But you're right, pretty pictures aren't enough if you don't actually know what the buyer wants,
Right.
which is where their second massive advantage comes in intent.
Oh, this stat completely blew my mind. 70% of people who buy or sell a home in America use Zillow. 70%. And they aren't just popping in for 5 minutes either. The average user spends 2 to 3 hours a week over 5 months on the platform, saving homes, messaging agents, booking tours.
Think about what that actually means for an AI model. That sustained intent is the ultimate training ground. A generic AI doesn't know the difference between you daydreaming about a $20 million mansion in Malibu and you desperately panic searching for a 2-bedroom apartment in Chicago because your current lease expires in 30 days.
Right, the generic AI just sees the search term.
Exactly. But Zillow does know the difference. They have 5 months of your behavioral data leading up to a transaction. So this allows their system to anticipate what you need to do next to take action, rather than just answering basic search queries.
So imagine you're on your phone late at night. The platform knows you've stopped looking at the dream mansions and started looking at the practical townhouses. So it starts dynamically serving you financing options and tour schedules for those townhouses.
Yes, it adapts to your reality.
But there's a third piece to this puzzle, right? Because real estate isn't just buyers and sellers. It's a deeply entrenched industry. It is highly regulated, and historically, it's been controlled by a very fragmented network of local databases.
Yeah, you're referring to the multiple listing services, or MLSs. For decades, these have been localized, walled gardens of real estate data guarded by local real estate boards.
Right, very protective.
Very. But over 20 years, Zillow has done the grueling, unglamorous work of building relationships and integrating with hundreds of these MLSs. And they're powering 1.5 million agents. So they operate at the absolute core of the transaction, not just around the edges.
And we are already seeing real-world applications of this. Like, they are testing a new consumer-facing AI mode right now, which is live for about 5% of their audience.
Yeah, and the early signals show that users in this AI mode are engaging in much deeper, more substantive, actionable conversations.
Which is wild. And it's also making Zillow itself faster. Because behind the scenes, Zillow's own engineers are shipping 40% more code on average, just because they are using AI to reinvent their internal workflows.
Which is the perfect segue, really, because that compounding efficiency isn't just for Zillow's internal engineers or the buyer clicking on a 3D tour. It is completely transforming the hidden backend, like the actual day-to-day jobs of real estate agents across the country.
Okay, let's talk about that back-end plumbing, because this is where the sheer scale of Zillow's quiet dominance really shocked me. They own the software tools that essentially run the day-to-day operations of American real estate.
They really do.
Take a program called Showing Time. It books tours for 90% of all homes for sale nationwide. Let that sink in. 90%.
It's almost a monopoly on touring.
Seriously. That was 40 million tours booked through their platform last year alone.
Yeah.
And then there is Loop, which is a software that facilitates the actual legal closings for nearly half of all U.S. real estate transactions.
And we can't forget Follow Up Boss. It's a client management platform utilized by over 80% of the country's highest volume real estate teams.
Wow.
Yeah, Zillow acquired it at the end of 2023, and since then, its monthly active users are up by more than 70%.
Okay, stop right there, because I really have to challenge this.
Go for it.
If Zillow owns all the search traffic on the front end, and then they own the touring software, the closing software, and the client management software on the back end, aren't agents being totally naive here?
How do you mean?
Well, historically, when a tech platform centralizes the demand and automates the middleman's workflow, it eventually eats the middleman's margins. Uber did it to cab drivers. They gave them a slick app and then they squeezed them. Are real estate agents just becoming cogs in a giant Zillow machine?
It's a very valid concern, and Honestly, it's exactly what critics of Zillow have been whispering for years. But Zillow makes the exact opposite argument, and it fundamentally comes down to the nature of the transaction. Buying a home is not calling a cab. It is deeply emotional and financially terrifying for most people. Zillow's perspective is that by using AI-powered workflows to handle the incredibly tedious coordination, the scheduling, the document prep, the initial outreach, you free the agent up to do what only a human can do.
Which is the emotional hand-holding, the nuanced negotiation, the local neighborhood judgment.
Precisely. It turns them into what Zillow calls super agents.
The super agent.
Yeah, these are professionals who can handle a significantly higher volume of transactions at a higher quality of service without having to work 80-hour weeks. Instead of spending 3 hours a day playing phone tag to book showings, the system does it instantly.
That makes sense.
And Zillow is currently rolling out this fully integrated system as Zillow Pro. It basically consolidates all those back-end tools into one connected hub. It's in beta right now with over 12,000 agents, and they're tracking toward a broader nationwide rollout later this year.
So, if we follow the logic here, because Zillow fundamentally controls all of that back-end plumbing, it means they can create some really wild, frictionless new features for you, the consumer, on the front end.
Exactly.
They're essentially turning the home buying and selling process into a super app experience. So let's look at the buyer side first.
Yeah.
They've introduced this feature called Shop with Pre-Approval.
This is a phenomenal example of how integration changes the user experience. Normally, you look at a house, guess what your mortgage might be based on some generic calculator, and just hope for the best.
Right.
With Shop with Pre-Approval, if you get pre-approved through Zillow Home Loans, that verified financial data integrates directly into your search. As you are browsing, the app dynamically shows you a highly accurate view of your actual monthly costs based on your specific financial profile.
Which is huge. I mean, imagine you're on your couch, you find a house you love, but because your pre-approval is integrated, the app instantly factors in the local property taxes and the current interest rate and lets you know right away if that specific house wrecks your monthly budget.
Exactly. It saves you from the heartbreak of falling in love with a house you can't afford.
It makes the browsing deeply actionable.
It also acts as a signal. It tells the real estate agents on the platform that you are a high-intent, verified buyer, not just a window shopper. They are also bringing the reality of how people buy homes into the app with the new co-shopper feature.
Oh, right, because most people aren't buying a house alone.
Exactly. You can now search, save, and collaborate with a partner in real time right inside Zillow's ecosystem. And that collaboration ties directly into a tool called My Agent, which threads the communication between the buyer, the co-shopper, the chosen agent, and the loan officer all into one cohesive place.
That handles the buyers beautifully. But we also need to look at what they are doing for sellers. Because Zillow is actively taking aim at one of the most frustrating, secretive parts of the modern real estate market.
The whisper market.
Ah, yes, the whisper market. For those who aren't familiar, this is when a house is technically for sale, but it's only marketed privately within a specific brokerage or a closed group of elite agents. Right. The agents basically hoard the listings. They do it so they can try to represent both the buyer and the seller and keep that entire 6% commission in-house. But by doing that, they shut out the regular everyday buyer completely.
Exactly. It creates an artificial barrier to entry that usually hurts the seller, because fewer eyeballs mean less competition for the home. And Zillow is actively combating this with a feature called Zillow Preview.
How does that work?
Well, instead of hiding a pre-market listing in a private network, Preview puts it right out in the open on the most visited real estate platform in America from day one. It surfaces in regular searches and recommendations, no insider access required.
So how does this actually weaponize the data to force the agent's hands? I mean, why would an agent agree to this if they want to hoard the listing?
Because of the seller. By putting the home in front of Zillow's massive audience early, Zillow gives the seller immediate, real-time data on views, saves, and tour scheduling requests. It's actual usable pricing intelligence before the home officially hits the market.
Oh, I see.
Right. If an agent tries to keep a home off Zillow, the seller is going to ask why they're missing out on thousands of potential early views. And to expand this even further, Zillow just announced a collaboration with Realtor.com, which means these pre-market listings get visibility across the two largest real estate platforms in the country simultaneously.
Which is exactly what the public wants. The shareholder letter referenced a Harris poll that proves this. Nearly 9 out of 10 Americans said they would be interested in viewing pre-listed homes online if they were buying.
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, and on the flip side, 85% of sellers want an agent who can pre-market their home to the broadest possible audience.
Yeah.
It democratizes access to the inventory.
And once the home officially goes active, sellers can upgrade to Zillow Showcase. We mentioned those interactive floor plans and 3D tours earlier. Showcase bundles all of that rich media together into a premium listing. And Zillow's data proves it works. Showcase listings drive more engagement, and they claim they sell faster and for more money than non-Showcase listings. In Q1, Showcase was used on 4.3% of all new listings.
Okay, I have to be the skeptic again here.
Always!
Zillow claims these Showcase listings sell faster and for more money. But aren't the agents who are willing to pay extra for Showcase likely already top-tier, highly successful agents who are listing highly desirable properties? It feels a bit like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Of course, the house with the beautiful 3D tour sells fast. It's a beautiful house represented by an aggressive agent.
It's a very fair critique, and there is undoubtedly some selection bias there. The best agents use the best tools. However, Zillow argues that regardless of the agent's baseline skill, the algorithm undeniably rewards Showcase listings with better placement and higher visibility.
That makes sense.
If your house appears at the very top of the search results for 10,000 buyers and the house down the street appears on page 3, your house is going to get more foot traffic. Period.
Fair enough. The visibility is the product. So they are dominating the for sale side, turning it into a seamless super app. But here's where it gets really interesting. Because the biggest, fastest growing engine for Zillow right now isn't actually people buying and selling homes.
No, it's not.
It is the rental market. Their rental empire is booming quietly in the background.
The numbers in the rental segment are genuinely staggering. Revenue was up 42% year over year, and that was largely driven by a massive 57% surge in multifamily revenue. So think big apartment buildings.
Right.
This isn't just a pandemic-era blip either. Since 2022, their rentals revenue has grown at an average of 32% annually.
Just to put the sheer scale of this into perspective for you, Zillow had 2.7 million average monthly active rental listings in Q1 alone. They hit an all-time high of 76,000 multifamily properties on the platform. And they're attracting 36 million average monthly unique visitors just for rentals. But the crucial question is why? Why are massive property management companies suddenly pouring so much of their marketing budgets into Zillow?
It comes down to a very simple metric: return on investment. Property managers are tracking where their signed leases actually come from, and they are reporting that Zillow delivers the highest ROI in the category, beating out traditional search engines and other social media platforms.
That's wild.
And Zillow is aggressively rolling out new tools to make sure it stays that way. In April, they launched a live analytics dashboard for property managers to track portfolio performance and benchmark their buildings against local competitors.
Even cooler, they rolled out a paid social product that automatically takes a rental listing and amplifies it across Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, fully managed by Zillow. It finds the units that are struggling to get traffic and blasts them out to the exact right demographic on social media.
Which brings us right back to their AI advantage. Think about the mechanics of a viral TikTok post.
Yeah.
If you blast a listing out on TikTok and suddenly get 500 inquiries overnight, a human property manager gets completely overwhelmed.
Oh, absolutely. They can't answer 500 emails at 2 a.m. asking if the building allows golden retrievers.
Exactly. So Zillow provides an embedded AI leasing assistant for these multifamily listings.
Wait, how does that actually work without violating fair housing laws or just frustrating the renter?
It acts as an instant, incredibly knowledgeable concierge at the very top of the funnel. It automatically handles the initial lead management. It answers all those specific policy questions instantly. It safely screens the applicants based on objective, preset criteria to ensure compliance. And it even helps coordinate the physical tour.
Wow.
Yeah, it handles the massive volume that humans can't, passing only the highly qualified, ready-to-sign renters to the human leasing agent. They are modernizing the entire rental transaction from end to end, just like they are doing on the for-sale side.
It is a massive, incredibly efficient, two-sided marketplace. Renters find the most inventory, and property managers get the most efficient tools to fill their vacant units. Which brings us to the ultimate moat that protects this entire empire Zillow is building. It's not just the proprietary AI, and it's not just the back-end software that all the agents rely on. It is the sheer, overwhelming dominance of their brand.
Brand dominance in a high-stakes space like real estate is incredibly difficult to achieve, but once you have it, it is incredibly powerful. According to the shareholder letter, roughly 80% of Zillow's traffic comes directly to them.
That's huge.
It is. That means people aren't going to Google, typing in houses for sale near me and clicking a random link. They are bypassing search engines entirely and just opening the Zillow app on their phone.
I mean, the word Zillow is actually searched on Google more often than the term real estate. That is the textbook definition of becoming synonymous with your entire category.
It's like Kleenex or Xerox.
Exactly. They have more than twice the daily active app users of their next closest competitor. And according to ComScore, they are the only large company in their category that has actually increased their audience reach over the past 6 quarters.
If we connect all of this to the bigger picture, what Zillow has done is build a multi-year, all-weather machine. The housing market can be booming or it can be completely frozen like it is right now. It fundamentally doesn't matter to their long-term strategy.
Right.
Whether you are a college grad looking to rent your very first apartment, a couple trying to buy your forever home, or a real estate agent trying to manage 100 transactions a year, Zillow has systematically positioned itself to be the invisible architecture making all of those things happen.
They are just weathering the storm. They are using the downtime to completely rewire the grid. While everyone else is complaining about the frozen market, they are digging the trenches and laying the fiber optic cables.
It's pretty brilliant.
It is. Which brings us to a final thought for you to ponder. If Zillow successfully becomes this inescapable end-to-end operating system for the entire housing market, owning the search, the touring software, the financing, and the closing mechanics, how long until the federal government steps in to regulate them like a public utility?
That is the big question.
Right. If one private company essentially controls the infrastructure of American housing, we might be looking at the next massive antitrust battle of the digital age.